The following is a production of Frank DeFreitas and the Internet Webmuseum of Holography.
We have to strike NASA! Annihilate! Kill! 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 Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Hello, this is Frank DeFreitas, and welcome to HoloTalk, the Internet's laser and holography talk show. Our toll-free number is 1-800-458-3525, or you can send an email to holotalk@holoworld.com. We've got telephone calls, we've got emails, we've got special guests coming up, so thank you for tuning in, and let's get this week's show on the road. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of HoloTalk. I'm sorry we had to go through a couple weeks of repeats. The first week, actually, I was actually trying to contact Jimmy Wolford down in Panama, and I continuously got the international operator that said no lines were available. So we're still going to work with getting Jimmy on the show, and we're probably going to do an interview with him late at night when there are more phone lines open into Panama from the United States. Last week I had some surgery done and just couldn't get a chance to have the show done, so we're back here this week in full swing. Thank you very much. I did get a few emails from you, and it meant quite a bit to me getting emails saying that you hope everything was okay. I had a tumor removed, and so far, so good. Everything looks okay, so we're back in the swing of things here with HoloTalk. This week's guest is Alan Rhody from Ross Books, and Ross Books, of course, as you may already know, is the publisher of the world-famous Holography Handbook, which got so many holographers started in the field to begin with, including myself back in 1983 when I got my own studio together, and also the Holography Marketplace, which is a reference book for people who are looking for companies to do business with in the field of holography. So both of these things are very driving forces in the field of holography, and they've all come out of the publishing house of Ross Books. What's going to be interesting about this interview is Alan's going to tell us about a very incredible portable holographic camera that Sony's just developed. So I'm not going to go into any details with any explanation here. I'll let Alan do that when he comes on in a few moments. Just to let you know, every other week we're going to do our listeners' call-ins and also their emails. So if you have any questions about the fields of lasers and holography, you can send them through toll-free. You can call on the phone, 1-800-458-3525. Or you can send an email to holotalk@holoworld.com, and I'll just go through reference materials and see if I can't get the answer to your questions. And if you happen to call in, we'll use your voice on the air. And if you happen to write the email in, we'll be more than happy to read your email question during the show. So let's move on. I just saw a study that showed that the average listening time to a real audio presentation, this was done by Real Networks, is 4 minutes. 4 minutes is the average listening time to any audio presentation on the web. So we're going to try and cut back the show a little bit. Sometimes we're 40 minutes long, sometimes we're 30 minutes long, but we realize that not everyone has a lot of time to sit and listen at their computers to the show, so we're going to just try and keep with the pertinent information during the shows and cut out some of the chit-chat and this and that, and try and get the show times down a little bit, that they're a little bit more manageable both for us to produce them and also for you to listen to, without taking out any of the exciting content, or what many of you feel. You've said that it's exciting content anyway. I don't want to start bragging about my own show here. So let's move on to the interview with Alan Rhody. It was very interesting. It was nice talking to him. He's going away on vacation to Hawaii, so we want to wish him a real happy vacation. There's nothing like getting away from it all for a week or two, just to clear the head out and get the cobwebs out of the head. So, Alan, you have a good time in Hawaii. If you get a chance to log on and you're listening to the show, I hope everything's going well. So let's move on. This is our interview with Alan Rhody from Ross Books.
Ross Books?
Yes, is Alan Rhody there?
Speaking.
Alan, this is Frank DeFreitas.
Hey, Frank, how are you?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Could you tell us a little bit about what your company's doing? I know you have the Holography Handbook.
Sure. Well, I wanted to, I just zapped you an email. Just remember you said, is there any questions you might want to ask?
Yeah.
I just came back from SPIE, and I just wrote this big article on the Sony thing, on the new portable instant portrait system.
Oh, that's incredible, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Now, this is being manufactured by Sony.
Right.
What's a little bit of the news on that?
Okay, are we live?
I'm recording it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on there. I got to get a sip of coffee here.
Okay, go ahead. I have some iced tea here. You sip some coffee, I'll sip some iced tea.
Okay.
This is informal.
Basically, Sony just unveiled the first fully portable holographic stereogram portrait printing system.
By portable, our idea of portable sometimes means like a Walkman.
Right, and it is something like that.
No kidding.
It can be used outdoors. It's basically you sit in front of a scanning digital camera that's on a rail, and the rail's about 3-4 feet long. The camera travels down the rail. It takes 225 separate images that it feeds into an image processing unit, just through a wire.
Okay.
And the image processing unit's located in a box about the size of a desktop copying machine.
Wow.
It goes through the image processor. The image processor takes all the different parallax views and regenerates 295 different views left to right, sends them into an optics board located on a little isolation platform built into this thing.
Get out.
And the condensed images the images are shown on an LCD screen. It's a spatial light modulator valve, they call it, and it's condensed into a vertical strip onto a diffuser screen, and then it's recorded with a little green laser, a solid state laser, directly on a piece of DuPont photopolymer. It takes each exposure is a quarter second, and each exposure cycle is half a second, I believe. And it takes an exposure. They invented a new type of film transport mechanism, kind of based on a VCR and a Walkman. I mean, Sony knows how to do that thing. And the old system of just like sandwiching a piece of film between two pieces of glass or whatnot, it just there's too many stability problems, and they couldn't go fast enough. So they invented a pinch roller thing, similar to the inside. It reminds me of a Walkman by the diagram, where the film is kind of looped around and it presses up against the exposure fast enough, against the aperture fast enough for a quick exposure, and nothing moves. Goes and does 295 of these little vertical slits. It takes 147 seconds, so a little over 2 minutes. The film travels automatically into under a UV lamp to cure it in a little baking chamber, and out pops a piece of plastic within 3 minutes with a stereogram hologram on photopolymer about 3 inches by 2 inches at the moment. And it's got full horizontal parallax, and it can capture a couple seconds of animation. We saw one of the guys, he sneezed as you walked by, so there's a couple seconds of animation there. And they say, well, once they get some more colored diode lasers in there, because they want it to operate off household current, they can make full color ones with the DuPont panchromatic film. And the film can be loaded into a cartridge. So basically it's intended for an office worker. Sony actually says, we're really not interested in holographic portraits, but once you can feed, they think stereograms are the best way to present 3D digital information. That's the bottom line. So the fact that it has a camera in it, you're taking portraits, is almost incidental to them. They want to make a hard copy 3D output device.
Wow.
They call it their Holo printer because it's based around the old integral hologram.
Yeah. It goes back to the early San Francisco days.
Certainly, yeah.
Whoever thought?
It's kind of a variation on that, and, it's got Sony's name on it. Now, they previewed at the SPIE show, they previewed the holograms. They didn't bring the machine in, but they had full schematics and photos of the thing, and it's about the size of a desktop copier, a big scanner, a printer.
Yeah.
So it's fully, and it's light tight, and it has internal isolation on the optics, so you can pick the thing up and put it wherever you want.
Did they give any range of price on this?
No, right now it's all R&D.
What's your guess? What do you think something like this looks like? Do you think 5 figures or 6 figures?
It didn't seem like, everything was off-the-shelf components.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't seem like it was so esoteric. They're just the first ones to really
put it all together.
Component, and upgrade it and put it all in one box. And they can afford, I would assume that laser in there is probably, new $50,000, but it's Sony, they probably have pull with the laser company.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, I think that is the main expense. Once you have a film transport mechanism, that's, that's what these guys specialize in. It didn't seem anything more complex than, a VCR, certainly.
Yeah, incredible.
And, if the digital input is formatted correctly, through their processor, which is, proprietary, it's got, I think he said, 256 megs of RAM in there, and that's kind of the heart of the machine. Everything else, they said, well, we can make bigger holograms if we have bigger optics. The film's already in 12-inch wide widths, so, they can feed it through. It's just a matter of engineering at that point.
Well, and you're doing this story for a publication?
I'm actually doing it for a web page,
okay.
And I'll try to market it to, any magazine that I can.
I just want to let our viewers know that while you're listening to the show, you can go to the Ross web page itself. You want to tell them how they can find it? What is it? www.rossbooks.com. And I'll have a link on the page, and you can exit the Real Audio player just by clicking on the browser and bringing it to the front. You don't have to sit there staring at the screen while the show's playing. You can visit Ross Books right on the web while you're listening to the show. Now, I logged on about 2 hours ago, so I didn't get the email. I'm sorry about that. But
no problem.
Whatever you want to cover, we can cover.
Great.
What was some of the other things you had in your email?
Well, we saw some of the new emulsions, the new silver halide emulsions, now that obviously Agfa's not in the game, other people have to take up the slack.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the holographers have been experimenting with the different emulsions now for about 6 months. So we're starting to see some of the results.
Some nice results?
We saw some very nice results with the German emulsions, HRT,
mm-hmm.
very high contrast, give you some really nice blacks in the background. If it's processed properly, it's a little slow, but people are doing things to speed it up a little bit.
For reflection holography? These were reflection holograms?
Reflection holograms, yeah. Just silver halide emulsions that are kind of hard to get for your average high school teacher now. Or
that's a sin.
Student.
That's really a shame. The younger kids, that's the next generation that has to come up with this field,
Correct, and then there's just there's a few distributors that are still carrying the old Agfa stocks. Our book, the Holography Handbook, is built around the Agfa emulsions. So we're basically, gathering information for all these people and letting them know where they can buy the stuff. Slavich, the Russian manufacturer, is bringing out some very nice emulsions, very high-quality emulsions. People are getting very good results on that. The Chinese are starting to develop their own emulsions, a company called Holo. Mm-hmm. They have some U.S. distribution. We're getting preliminary results back on that. Konica is developing some emulsions suitable for industrial use, and we're looking forward to checking all these out and doing some comparisons.
What version is the Holography Handbook in now?
The handbook we've just revised with some less toxic chemistries. That was about 2 years ago, and now we're revising it again to reflect the situation with the new emulsions. That
book got me on the road with holography.
Same with everybody.
It was 1983.
Yeah.
I still have that book, and I really need to take a Polaroid photo of this book so that you could see the condition that it's in. I mean, it is just totally ripped apart.
Fantastic.
Which is a good sign. That's a good sign because that means that book's been used.
We get the dog-eared copies every once in a while.
I have to show you this book. This has got to be the best one yet.
We still sell it all over the world. We're actually we were talking to somebody about a Chinese translation recently because it still seems to be one of the best lab manuals that you can take in there and do a step-by-step.
Well, the only thing I could do before the Holography Handbook came out was just follow holography. because I started following it when the Museum of Holography opened in New York. But I couldn't do any holograms. But then I caught on to the Holography Handbook and brought a copy of that home. And I would say within maybe about 10 days after getting that book, I had my first hologram made. That quick.
Fantastic.
You know, back in my younger days.
And we're getting ready to put out the 7th edition of the Holography Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
That's the newest
That's
one.
a great resource.
Yeah, there's 22 holograms in it this year. 240 pages. We've got 9 chapters of really nice information, informative stuff, and 900 or so listings in the international database of holography-related businesses.
That's worth its price just for the holograms that are in there.
A big $22.95.
Yeah. You couldn't buy all those holograms that are in that book.
We have some especially nice ones. On the cover this year, we're doing photopolymer. It's a computer-generated image, and it was produced by Crystal Holographics on DuPont's photopolymer. It's fairly big. It's a nice one. We have some dot matrix holograms in the book. There's some 2Ds. There's some 2D, 3Ds. There's 3Ds. There's photopolymer and embossed. So it's a good sample kit, good representation of what's out there today.
You did a nice computer-generated piece on the 5th.
Yeah, that was interesting. Full parallax.
Yeah.
Even Sony hasn't done a full parallax hologram yet.
Yeah.
They're still doing horizontal parallax, and the idea itself is rather simple. The engineering is a little tough, but we had Bob Hess, an expert holographer, work on that, and Chuck Hassan develop a full parallax printer. And I'd love to see that done commercially because it got a good response from the readers.
So what's your next direction for Ross Books?
Well, the Holography Marketplace became an annual, and we'd love to put out a quarterly at some point. We're very heavy into spreading information over the Internet. We get worldwide inquiries about holography nearly every day, and we're basically book publishers, so we like to sell books. I'm also writing articles for whoever's interested on the latest and greatest holography information. And we're going to just keep plugging away. We're starting to expand our circulation. Book clubs are starting to carry our book to get it out there. We're going to a lot of conventions to get it into the users and potential users' hands. Ad agencies, venture capitalists, technology companies, advertising agencies, and just promote the whole holography industry. That's our job.
And you do it well.
We try.
You're the force behind the motion of the field.
We try.
I had your first edition of the Holography Marketplace, and I can't find it anymore.
You should find it because that's worth upwards of $500 now.
No kidding. I know it's around. I've got everything going back all the years. I know it's here somewhere, but I cannot find that first edition.
Just as kind of a joke, because we were getting down to the last couple dozen, and we said, well, let's put a $100 price tag on them. Well, book collectors found out about it. These are people outside the holography industry.
Yeah.
Because it has collectible holograms in there that'll never be reprinted, the book is considered rare and collectible. And we started getting orders at $100 a piece, so we're even contemplating doing a buyback at like $75. So keep those old issues of Holography Marketplace and put them away so we can all put the kids through college.
I've got one in there now. Okay, well, what else would you like to say before we wrap it up?
I just want to thank you for all your efforts through the years. You're holding down the East Coast. We're trying to hold down the West Coast and the Pacific Rim. So if we all keep plugging away, we'll all have jobs that we enjoy.
Stop sending that rain this way, though.
Yeah.
Although I shouldn't say that to anyone on the West Coast. I realize you're all going through some pretty hard times out there with this weather this winter.
Well, that's why I looked on the map and found out where there was a drought. Believe it or not, it's Honolulu, so I'm Hawaii bound. Okay, well, you have a good time on vacation. It was good talking to you, Alan. And folks, don't forget, go over there and check out that Ross Books website. It's www.rossbooks.com, and just click on the link that's on the HoloTalk page, and that'll take you right over there. Fantastic.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Okay, talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Initiating shutdown sequence.